Here are the top 5 reasons you have a tiny chest. And I can speak from experience because my chest used to absolutely suck. So I'm very passionate about helping others grow their chest. I'm going to give you guys the top 5 reasons that your chest is probably not growing as much as you like it to. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Eric Janicki back with another video. I'm so excited that you guys are enjoying this content, the workout content, the fun content. But if you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. So excited. We've reached 100K. Who knows where we're going to be when we post this video. Hopefully we'll be at 200K. But hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification. We're popping off because the content is so high level. I love long form. I didn't think I was going to love it. I absolutely love it. So kick that sub button. And without further ado, let's get in this video. Number 1. You're focusing too much on strength. And I know this seems counterintuitive because if you think in your head, oh, if I'm bench pressing 500 pounds, my chest is gonna look huge. And yes, while there is a correlation, it's not 1-to-1. And so I used to bench press way more in college playing college football than I can now, but my chest is so much more voluminous, bigger now than it was then. And so why is that the case? Is because there's a difference between the amount of weight lifted and the amount of stimuli presented. So just because you can lift a lot of weight for, let's say 135 with super explosive, doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna have a big chest. And the biggest reasons for that is when you're focusing on weight, you're focusing on moving the bar from A to B. So for a bench press, down, up. You can use so many different muscles to achieve that result that aren't just your chest. You can use surprisingly a lot of lat drives. So a lot of guys will dig in and actually push out explosively through their lats. You can use a lot of triceps and a lot of front delts. So there's a lot of things that can get a pressing movement from A to B. So what's the answer then? So if I'm not focusing on strength, what am I focusing on then, Eric? And the answer is stimulus. So stimulus is gonna come down to a number of factors, but the biggest thing is intensity, mind-muscle connection, and really feeling and recruiting the chest properly within your movement patterns. So you can still do your favorite movement patterns, but I'm gonna show you the best ways to increase the time under tension within and the stimulus within those movement patterns. All right, so the number 1 way to induce more hypertrophy in your chest is to increase the volume. So that means the amount of sets, the amount of reps. A lot of times guys come in and they do 3 or 4 sets of bench press and for, let's say 4 to 8 reps, and you're not gonna get a lot of stimulus. Sure, you're gonna build strength, but you're not gonna get a lot of that stimuli necessary to drive hypertrophy. So one simple way is increase the rep range. So they've been shown scientifically, if you go more to that 12 to 15, even 20, sometimes even up to 30 rep range for certain exercises, it can induce more hypertrophy than if you do, let's say, 3 to 8 or 1 to 3 reps. So that's one simple way. Another way to simply increase stimuli is more intensity techniques. And what I mean by that is things like slowing down your reps, so increasing time under tension. So instead of benching like this, bench like this. Really try to focus on connecting with the chest, get a more of an eccentric. The eccentric is actually the most important part of a movement when it comes to bodybuilding purposes. The reason is it's going to induce more hypertrophy, and also you have more strength in your eccentric portion. So concentric is, let's say, the press of a bench press. The eccentric is that negative. So the more you slow down on that negative, the more it's been proven to induce way more hypertrophy. The number 2 thing is increasing range of motion. So let's say you're doing a press or a fly, really try to open up as much as possible, retract the scaps, get more stretch through the pec. The more you can stretch the pec, the more motor recruitment, the more fiber recruitment, and the more you're gonna grow. Another simple way is reducing rest time. So for strength, obviously you take these really long rests because you wanna maximize your performance in each set. But what you can do is, with hypertrophy style training, is actually reduce the rest time. So if you're doing sets of flies, you can actually, you can actually reduce the rest time, drop the weight down, and keep hitting your next set. Reduce the weight again, hit your next set. So reducing rest time is actually another way to increase the intensity of your workout. Beyond that, you can also superset exercises. So I've done a lot of, let's say, a pressing movement superset with like a deficit push-up. That's like a great superset. And the reason that's so effective is because you're pre-fatiguing with that heavier movement pattern. And then you can superset with, say a body weight, or you can superset with another type of movement. So let's say you're superset a press with a fly, you pre-fatigue with that heavier press, and then you can really burn through that tissue, increase that hypoxicity when you go to that fly movement. The last intensity technique is partial failure reps. So you see me use these all the time. So let's say I get to the end of a fly set, and instead of just stopping when I get to failure, I'll hit 4, maybe even up to 10 half reps or quarter reps at the end of my set, still pinning those shoulders back, keeping the impetus in my chest. And the reason that's so effective is because same thing, it's another intensity technique. I'm pushing progressive failure points. And instead of trying to force through reps where I'm gonna start taking over with say front delts, biceps, I'm instead getting those half reps because I'm able to keep that tension in the chest, and that mind muscle connection and keeping that tension is so important for growth. Number 2 reason that your chest is not growing is lack of variety in your exercises. I've seen so many guys use the same blueprint. They come in, they bench press or they incline barbell press, then they go do some incline dumbbell press, then they do some sort of, let's say, machine fly, and then they end up with some like garbage sets of light ass cable flies. And if you do that every single week, sure, you can use progressive overload, meaning going heavier and heavier in those movement patterns to progress them, but there's a law of diminishing returns. Your body's going to acclimate to that exercise routine. So what you need to do is provide a novel stimuli. So what I recommend to people is maybe have your core exercises. If you have an exercise that you know really you connect with, let's say that's a hammer strength press or an incline Smith machine press, like keep those in for as long as you feel like you can progress them, but then introduce some sort of novel stimuli, meaning let's say a cable fly with a unique angle of force, or a machine fly that you haven't used, or a machine press that you haven't used in a little while. By obviously switching in and out exercise is going to induce a new type of stimuli your body's not used to, and that novel stimuli is always going to provide growth, because discomfort is growth, right? So if you do the same things over and over again, you're getting in your comfort zone. So by adding in a new exercise and running with that for, let's say, 3, 4, 6 weeks, that's gonna help you obviously break that pattern, give your body something it's not used to, and induce more hypertrophy. Number 3 reason your chest's not growing is you have an insufficient caloric surplus. 99% of the time, you need to be in a caloric surplus to build muscle. Sure, if you're like 50% body fat, you've never lifted in your life, and you start training and you start losing weight, yes, there's a short period in which you can build muscle scientifically while losing body fat. For most of us, especially if you're watching this video, you're probably at least a intermediate, maybe intermediate plus or advanced trainer. If you've been lifting for more than 2, 3, 4 years, have body fat percentages, say anywhere from like 12 to 25%, you're not going to be putting on a substantial amount of lean tissue if you're in a maintenance or especially in a deficit. So what you need to do is start tracking your food, guys. I know you're like, oh, I'm eating a ton, but you don't really know what you're eating until you start tracking it. So get an app like MyFitnessPal, it's free. Start tracking what you're eating, be more methodical, hit your protein goals for the day. The biggest thing, if you're just starting out, I say the easiest way to do it is hit first a caloric goal and second a protein goal. So let's say you want to hit 3,400 calories, make sure you're hitting your 3,400 calories, and then let's say anywhere between 0.7 and 1 gram per pound of body weight. So for example, if I'm 280, I want to hit anywhere between, let's say, 240 and 280 grams of protein a day, which is right where I'm at. I hit about 260 grams of protein. Anything beyond that, it's kind of law of diminishing returns. You're not going to get that much more if you're, let's say, 180 pounds by hitting 240 grams of protein than you would 180. So it's a good golden rule. So if you can just hit your surplus of, let's say, 300 to 500 calories per day, and then hit your protein goal, that's a really, really easy way to get started without having to think like, oh, am I getting too many carbs and too little fat, or too much fat and too little carbs? Sure, those things are important if you want to get really specific and see what works well for your body, but just start there. Hit your caloric surplus and hit your protein goals for the day. Number 4 reason your chest is not growing is improper form and technique. We are not here just to move weight around. I always tell people that. Don't come to the gym just move weight around. Really, really focus on your form. So many times when you're doing movement patterns, you can take over with other muscle groups that tend to be more dominant. A lot of people are really dominant in their front delt triceps. You'll see it on their physique. They have really good arms, but their chest is super lacking. It's not because they don't do chest ever. It's because when they do their more compound movements, pressing, they're not using proper form and recruiting their chest. They're probably just trying to, lift as much weight as possible. So what I would do is a few form techniques you can take and put in your workouts right now. Number 1 is retracting your scaps. Whenever you do any chest movement, I want you to pull the shoulders back. You see how it opens up the chest? if you're opening up your chest, you're more able to recruit it. Because if I'm collapsing it and I'm pressing here, I'm gonna tend to take over with that front delt and tricep. Or if I pull those shoulders back, retract the scap. Another form cue I like to use is kind of try to pin the elbows back before pressing at almost a 45 degree, and this can be done with a dumbbell press or cable press. Obviously barbell's a little harder because your hands are in a set position, but still with that barbell press, I want to drop in and I want to consciously push through the chest, keeping the shoulders back. Another cue is pretend like a string is getting pulled either towards the opposite wall or towards the ceiling, depending on where you are. So if you're in a lying position, you want to pretend like your chest is being pulled by a string towards the ceiling. That's going to keep it nice and open as you press. If you're doing, let's say, a seated fly, that's the opposite. You want to be pulled towards that wall. Pretend like you're getting pulled towards that wall. That's going to help you keep that chest nice and proud and keep the contraction in the chest. Another way to improve this is incorporating more mobility work. If you have very, very tight bicep insertions, front delt, even teres in the more fervently in the areas you're trying to target. And number 5, the last reason your chest is not growing is because you're not resting enough. This is the people, and not to make a bad pun, but people sleep on recovery so much. If you are not getting sufficient rest, if you're training 7 days a week, if you're not sleeping, these things are going to literally destroy your gains. Go and read any study, go and type in Google how sleep affects muscle hypertrophy. You will see like the amount of that sleep affects how much you can recover and grow is astounding. And people are like, once they show them these type of studies, like, oh shit, I gotta sleep more, because they're doing all this work in the gym, they're tracking their food, and they're sleeping 3 to 4 hours a night because they're playing video games. You're not gonna get the results that you want. So stop sleeping on sleep. Go to bed, set a time on your phone, because if you know you have to wake up at 6 for work or whatever, make sure you get in bed by 10, get your full 8. And you have to understand too, that 8 hours in bed doesn't always mean 8 hours of sleep. You are always up for at least, let's say, an hour of that, whether you're going to the restroom, you're just restless. Get also like a sleep tracker. I'd recommend like a Whoop or an Oura Ring so you can track your sleep, because you might find out that you're in bed for 8 hours, but you're only sleeping for 5 of it, and only like 20 minutes of that is REM sleep. It'll tell you what's your REM sleep, deep sleep. So really, really understand your sleep and sleep quality, because I didn't know how bad my sleep was, and then I decided to go get a sleep study, and I realized my sleep was absolute garbage, so I ended up getting a CPAP, and now every night my sleep grade is like an 85 to 90, even with twin babies, because I prioritize it. So don't sleep on sleep, guys. Get your recovery in. But those are the top 5 reasons that you are probably not growing your chest. I know it's a problem area for a lot of guys. It was a problem area for me. So I resonate with you, I feel you, but this video should help you so much in starting to grow your chest. Watch my other chest day videos on specific exercises that we talked about. So hope you guys love this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. It means the world to me. Make sure you hit that heart button, hit that bell notification. And without further ado, I will catch you guys on the next video.